Happy November. This is a booktube video. My physical TBR. These are 3 hard books. Small, but hard. I would like to read one of them by the end of the year. None of them, I don't think. Actually, this one might be on audiobook. The rest I'm going to have to read. This one is called Howard's End, E.M. Forster. It says, what makes this masterpiece clear, vibrant life of Edwardian England. Women characters inhabit a charming old country house in Hertfordshire. It's called Howard's End. It's a cozy house. It becomes the object of an inheritance dispute between an upright conservative Wilcox family and the Schlegel sisters, Helen and Margaret. Sensitive and intuitive women loved by men willing to leap wide social barriers to fulfill their ardor. Through romantic entanglements, disappearing wills, and a sudden tragedy, the conflict over the house emerges as a symbolic struggle of England's very future, rich with tradition, spirit, and wit, belonging only to the English. Howard's End is a remarkable novel of rare insight and understanding, celebrated as a passage to India, as E.M. Forster brings to vivid life a country and an era through the destiny of his characters. This one is interesting. This says it's written by Margaret Truman, which is Harry Truman's daughter. So how disturbing is that? Margaret Truman is the daughter of President Harry and Bess Truman. The name of this is Murder in the Smithsonian. Now, other books she wrote in the back here says Murder at the FBI, Murder at the Supreme Court, Murder on Embassy Row. I mean, shouldn't we get all disturbed? Is she writing about true stuff? This is what the back says. Non-stop action, brilliantly evocative setting. Heather McBean come from Scotland to Washington to find out who murdered her fiancé. Dr. Lewis Tunney. It happened during a glittering black tie affair at the Smithsonian. Dr. Lewis Tunney was a brilliant historian, stumbled onto an international art scandal, and was brutally murdered right in front of 200 guests. You think that's real? It says Captain Mike Hanrahan was in charge of the case, developed a special feeling for Heather. He knew she was in danger. He wanted to keep her safe when suddenly there was 2 more murders, and Hanrahan was worried, but Heather was stubborn and insisted on going her own way right into the arms of a killer. So murderers are everywhere, I guess, you know. Any victim of domestic violence, or not victim, or survivors of domestic violence. Not victims, survivors. We know that. This other hard book I found, it's called Hang 1,000 Trees with Ribbons. It is a story of Phyllis Wheatley. Now, it's probably a slave story. It says, kidnapped from her home in Senegal and sold. Phyllis Wheatley became known, or as she becomes to be known, I guess maybe that wasn't even a real name, it's a sticker here, but probably bought by a wealthy merchant family in Boston. Phyllis's eager mind and a desire to please led her on an unusual path for young women, much less any women. Wheatley discovers her talent, and her family coaxes her to perform for influential guests. The first step in having Phyllis's poetry published, unsuccessful in finding an American publisher bold enough to publish a Negro woman's poetry, Nathaniel and Phyllis's sail to England in 1773, and Phyllis becomes the toast of a London society, and her poems are published. The first book of a poetry by an American Negro woman. But soon Phyllis discovers that fame has its price, and her stability and way of life are threatened as she struggles to find out who she is and where she fits in a white man's world. So that sounds like all this stuff is so triggering. Murder, selling into slavery, inheritance fraud. You know what else I want to read? This one, Summer. This is not hardback. This is Edith Wharton, 1917. Steeped in the tragic realities of war, this book is set far away from Paris, explores a woman awakening to her needs. The novel's heroine, 18-year-old Charity Royale, bored in the small Massachusetts town of North Dormer, ignorant of desire until she meets a visiting architect named Lucius Harney. Like the lush summer of the Berkshires around them, a romance shimmering in idyllic, but its consequences are harsh and real. For the early 20th century audience, it was a shocking book. Raw depiction of a mountain community where Charity was born, and Charity's rites of passages into adulthood elevate Summer to groundbreaking study of the society, nature, and human needs. Joseph Conrad's prized this gem of a novel. The author herself favored it. It's the most passionate fiction that Edith ever wrote. So I hope you enjoy reading